All right, and welcome to Fastbreak Breakfast NBA podcast. My name is Keith Parrish. I have longtime friend of the show, Daman Rangoola, coming on in just a few minutes. One of our first listeners and earliest supporters. He's also a lifelong Lakers fan, so people can't be all good. He and we talk about the Sixers and Nets series and more ejection controversies from that one. We talk about Kings and Warriors, where Golden State avoided falling in a 3-0 hole. And of course, we discuss the Grizzlies and the Lakers series. As far as the other playoff matchups, the Suns went up 2-1 on Thursday night. Kawhi sort of unexpectedly sat out, but the game was still close and competitive as Russell Westbrook and Norm Powell had huge games. I remain a little underwhelmed by what I've seen from Phoenix so far. In the other series in the West, the Nuggets are up 2-0. Game 3 is Friday night in Minnesota. Also on Friday night, you have the Knicks hosting the Cavaliers in that closely matched first-round series, and the Hawks going to try to put up a fight against the Celtics. What to watch for in that game is, can Trae Young not be bad? Also on Friday morning, some breaking news. The Raptors fired Nick Nurse. That was a move it seemed like most people were anticipating. Also, it's been reported that the Raptors have been considering for weeks now, bringing in Ime Udoka, which is an interesting choice for them. Anyways, if you want to support our show, do that at patreon.com/fastbreakbreakfast for $3 a month. You can join our Slack where we talk around the clock about basketball and everything else. Also, all of our t-shirts and merch are on sale right now, so check that out for some high-quality basketball-themed t-shirts. Look at those at tpublic.com/user/fastbreakbreakfast, or much more simply, just click the link in the show description. Also, if you were one of our local listeners, don't miss the Game 3 watch party for Grizzlies Lakers at Noble's Beer Hall in Nashville on Saturday night at 9 p.m. I won't be there, but some very respectable representatives will be there giving away Grizzlies prizes. So don't miss that if you're in the Nashville area, Noble's Beer Hall, 9 p.m. on Saturday night. All right, now let's bring on Daman Rangoola. I'm joined right now by one of my favorite people, Daman Rangoola. Daman, how's it going, man?
Good, man. We're things are a little contentious between us at the moment, but as this series progresses, hopefully, we'll reemerge as friends after.
We will overcome this thing we're doing right now where we barely speak. So I'm forcing us to communicate as our teams face off in this first round series.
I refused to take your phone calls, but when Keith told me that we'll record anything for content,
No, listen, you have a stance, and I believe in it. I think it's the correct stance. It's basically a no wasted energy. You're like, no, I'm not going to talk with you for fun. But I will talk with you on a podcast. Like if we're making content, I can give you that energy. I'm not wasting energy on just casual maintaining my relationship with Keith. No, that's a waste. But honestly, when we started the Zoom call, we were talking and I'm like, save it. I don't want to, no wasted energy.
Yeah, because speaking of relationships, that's true. Speaking of relationships, I might be seeing you soon.
That's right. So I'm flying to LA today. And it's going to be awful for me because I'm leaving Nashville at 8 p.m. First of all, I had to take a direct flight. I don't want to not take a direct flight.
Hey man, this isn't indie rock band Keith Parrish. This is
no. I'm not sleeping on couches anymore. I'm not sleeping on couches anymore. I'm not taking layovers. I'm not switching planes. So the direct flight option was basically like 8 a.m. or 8 p.m. And listen, there might be other airlines that do stuff, but I only fly on one airline. And I'm like, I can't leave on 8 a.m.
Listen to yourself, by the way, the level of just diva-ness you've approached.
I am diva-ness.
So it's not diva on route, no compromise on airline.
I don't know if is Southwest the fanciest of airlines. I just like their if you want to change your flight, you don't lose any money. Like you can just move the credit. Also,
listen, the real question
you can carry on the bags.
The real question for everybody at home listening: do you pay for early bird check-in?
No, I don't pay for early bird check-in.
Oh, okay,
no.
we're not there yet.
I'm like LeBron James refusing to pay for Twitter Blue. There's no chance I'm paying $10 to check in early. No, that makes no sense. No, but I'm leaving. Like, I can't leave Friday at 8 a.m. because then I'd be gone like the whole day, and I just miss my whole family. Like, I don't know. It's just nightmare getting the kids to school and me to the airport. So this way I get to hang out with my kids at, after school and like basically stay until their bedtime on Friday night. Problem is, I'm going to land at 12:45 on my body clock, and something snapped in my body where I can't stay up late anymore. Like I made it until a year ago. I used to stay up late, 1 a.m. every night, and now
listen, man. I've seen you in Vegas in summer league, and your performance has been declining.
It's lagged.
Late night, Keith. Yeah, late night.
Last
Keith
year
is struggling.
I couldn't do it. And honestly, I kept blaming the flight. So I'm doing the exact same mistake I made last summer. Because if you leave at 8 p.m. your own body clock time for a 4-hour flight, you can't sleep on that flight. No one's falling asleep at 8. But the problem is, about 3 hours into the flight, your body's like, man, I'm really tired. I'm really tired now.
Yeah.
And so then and your body's like, oh, dude, it's bedtime. This is when we go to sleep hard. And so this happened in Vegas. I was trying to stay awake the whole time, and then I fell asleep hard right before landing. And then my body was broken. Then I had to wake up and get off a plane, and I'm like, where am I? I'm like, can you tell me where we are? I just woke up. I don't do great in the mornings. And so I'm going to be so lost. So now I'm trying to figure out what's my strategy for tonight? Should I drink coffee? Should I power through? Be like, dude,
I thought that was gonna be. I agreed with the drink part. I did not expect coffee to end with that sentence.
I can't do alcohol. That's gonna mess it. No, I don't know. What were you suggesting?
By the way,
energy drink.
By the way, that is something about alcohol.
Yeah.
Again, speaking of Vegas, you know this. I enjoy my alcohol. Alcohol in planes or before a flight is this weird tradition that maybe is because of movies or TV shows or whatever. This notion of there's nothing more miserable than being kind of drunk, but not really, but kind of hungover during a flight, which is already unpleasant.
Yeah.
It is a complete myth. It's the dumbest thing to do. So I would probably lean into, because you're going to have a late night Saturday too.
Am I?
I mean, the game's normal start time.
It's true.
It's a 9 p.m. start time for you.
Yeah, I know. I don't want to be yawning during the game. That's embarrassing. Yeah,
exactly.
No, I need to. That's all right. So that's the plan. Maybe I'm gonna drink a little. I might have a little bit of 5 ounces of Coca-Cola. That is.
By the way, no endorsement. But you were speaking of Bang energy drink. These Celsius drinks, I've just
listen. I can't. I gotta blur that out. Bleep that out. I'm not getting any money from these people. Was that your breakfast, by the way? So we should do, as you know, a many time guest. We talk about breakfast first thing. What'd you have for breakfast, Daman?
So I have a little bit of serial killer tendency to where I don't need to switch anything up.
I love that.
And so I have, for the last 2 months now, I've been in a really good gym routine. I just got back from the gym.
Nice.
And my hours are a little weird, so I do go very late at night or kind of really early in the morning. And the Starbucks in my gym plaza opens at 4:30 a.m., which is usually when my workouts end. So it lines up perfectly. I get their bacon, Gouda, and egg sandwich. It's 320 or 40 calories.
Yeah.
It is so good, so satisfying. Ask for a little sriracha packet on the side.
Oh,
and
lovely.
I have been having Monday to Friday consistently for 3 months.
So they know
the same goddamn sandwich.
They know you, and they
Not
make
only
it
do
for
they know
you.
me.
They give it to you free. I hope a lot.
In the drive-through, when I speak the order, they're like, "Oh, hey, yeah." No, they used to ask hey, do you want something to drink? And I don't need coffee at the time because I've been sipping on. Speaking of Celsius, I've been sipping on my Celsius, so I just get the sandwich from the drive-through. They've stopped asking, "Do you want anything to drink?" Because they know As soon as we open, this dude comes at the same time. We don't know what he does. We don't know why he's here at the same time, and he orders the same thing. But the bacon Gouda and egg sandwich from Starbucks, 5 stars.
It's amazing. Look at you with your
I
diva
am
tastes.
so excited.
Paying for a $9 Starbucks sandwich every morning. Look at money bags over here.
That is the first time I've talked about this. I'm so excited. I should have predicted that I was going to be able to talk about this.
Yeah.
I'm very happy right now.
That's great. I'm glad you shared that. When you started off talking about your breakfast and you said cereal, I thought you were going to talk about the breakfast food, but then you went with killer, and it took my brain at least 0.5 of a second to switch over to be like, wait, what? Oh, I got you. Cereal killer, not cereal breakfast. Sounds good. All right. Well, hey, man, our teams are playing. I do want to talk about some of these games that went on last night because a lot of wild stuff happened. Actually, let's start with that. We can save our Grizzlies-Lakers hatred for the end. The Sixers and Nets played a weird game on Thursday night.
Yes.
And I think the highlighted materials of this game, the bullet points, are the ejections and how things have gotten so strange and so professional wrestling in the NBA. All right. Joel Embiid kicked Nick Claxton in the groin.
Yes.
No one disputes this. This is not even like, oh, Draymond, where else could my foot go? Like Embiid was flat on his back. Claxton was standing over him taunting. I don't think anyone disputes this version of events. And then Embiid kicks him in the groin. Now, why did Embiid not get thrown out? I have no idea. I thought we've established this precedent. This precedent has been set. There have been 2 Grizzlies players thrown out in games for groin shots. One of them, Dylan Brooks, got suspended the next game for, again, a less obvious groin shot than kicking someone in the groin when your leg is nowhere near them to kick up. So, all right, what happened with this first
I don't know. I don't know if you read the referee report after.
I actually haven't seen it because you're making me record at like 6 a.m. my time.
Yes, good.
Well, no, what was the ref report? The pool report.
The pool report basically said that Joel Embiid, and I'm paraphrasing very, very roughly at this moment.
I'm gonna try to get this.
Basically, because Embiid didn't make contact, he basically missed. That's why they stood by their call.
All right, here's the quote.
Yeah, please go for it.
All right, so the contact was a flagrant one because it was deemed unnecessary and to the point, and it was based on the point of contact to the leg. I guess I'm reading this verbatim. Based on the point of contact to the leg, it didn't rise to the level of excessive, which, by the way, the fact that the adjectives used in the rule book are these arbitrary, unnecessary, and excessive. Well, was it unnecessary but not excessive? Yes. According to Tony Brothers, this was unnecessary because you don't need to kick your opponent in the groin. But the next question, the follow-up question, so it was not deemed a flagrant 2 based on where the contact was? Tony Brothers, the point of contact dictated that it was only unnecessary contact and not excessive. So yes. So because he didn't make full-on contact.
Exactly. They're calling Joel Embiid an ineffective. Inaccurate.
Yeah.
Groin hitter.
I agree.
And so listen, this has been a very rough time, and you're, Mr. Referee Defender, so I don't know how you feel about this. Draymond,
first of all, before you go on, I've been filled with a lot of shame with the number of years I've been defending the referees. It's been a bleak outlook. And most of my time, like, we had a watch party for game 2 of Grizzlies Lakers in Nashville. There were actually a lot of Lakers fans there. And what normally happens is the fans are outraged. They're screaming, how did D'Angelo Russell get called for a foul here? What is the foul? They're like throwing their food. And then there's another camera replay from behind. You're like, oh, D'Lo pushed him in the back really hard with his left hand. That's my bad.
Yeah.
And that's what always happens. You're like, well, look at the angle the guy called it, even on a missed call. Even if D'Angelo Russell hadn't pushed him, you show a camera angle. Normally, most of these times, you're like, well, first of all, what angle did the referee have? Second of all, what's the actual rule? Oh, you don't know the actual rule? The rule says that it's supposed to be a foul. So all the time, everyone always blames the refs. And I just want to be like, listen, it's impossible. 2, everyone's faking everything all the time. Everyone's simulating everything constantly. So to figure out what is actual real contact, all right. But this year, it feels that they've lost me. I feel like the last 2 minute reports have been Orwellian, where they're writing things in the last 2 minute report that didn't happen, or they're like saying stuff. They're like saying stuff that like the rule is that doesn't match what the video is. This also happened on Twitter, man. I posted a clip of LeBron James standing in the paint for 5 seconds, and somebody with coach in their Twitter handle was like, hey moron, the 3-second count doesn't start to the ball's in the front court and it ends when the upward shooting motion begins. All of those things are correct. All of those things don't change the video I posted. The video I posted only shows the 5 seconds he's in the lane while the ball's in the front court. The thing you said to me was correct, but it doesn't change the video I posted of LeBron James standing in the lane for, all right, I'll grant you 4.8. It's 4.8 seconds. Well, I'm sorry, now I've got lost. I'm sorry, the referees have lost me, but go ahead.
So let's ignore the Draymond thing because there's,
it's different.
There's been so many conversations.
Yeah.
So Embiid doesn't get ejected, and he had clear intent of what he was trying to do. James Harden gets ejected for making content that's incidental. So I don't believe for a second that what James Harden was intentionally trying to do that. Yes, push off, whatever, foul, no question about it. So James Harden had no intent. Joel Embiid had all the intent.
Right.
And only because of where that fist landed or where that content landed, that's how they made.
I like how you say you've said content
possible.
Damon, which not contact. You're wrapped in podcaster brain. You're locked in creation. We gotta make it. We can call it content. This is content.
Grit and grind, baby. Let's go.
Yeah. So we don't want. This is funny though, because we don't want officials to legislate intent when it comes to personal fouls. It doesn't matter. If you were trying to commit a foul, you actually have to commit a foul. It doesn't matter if you swung wildly. If you miss, it's not a foul. Don't referee intent. But when it comes to flagrant fouls and technical fouls, of course you should legislate intent.
That's the only thing that matters.
If you accidentally hit a guy in the face with your elbow, you shouldn't be ejected. If you purposely hit a guy in the face with your elbow, you should be ejected. And there's going to be gray areas.
Exactly.
And again, I could even go with, hey, if we're not sure, which honestly wears there was one there was a Desmond Bane play where he got ejected against the Heat for his shoulder went into Kevin Love's groin, and Kevin Love committed a defensive, like Kevin Love did not beat him to the spot. Kevin Love committed what would have been a block, but what was ruled excessive and unnecessary contact by Desmond Bane, where again he didn't extend an arm. He leaned his shoulder into his groin, and he was ejected for a flagrant 2 because of the point of contact. The fact that James Harden could accidentally hit a guy in the nuts, and that's an ejection, that doesn't make any sense. And now, to make it worse, Nick Claxton gets ejected. The guy who got kicked in the groin, he gets ejected for, on the spectrum of technical fouls, soft technical foul.
Super soft.
Super soft. And the Nets were winning when Claxton gets ejected.
I think
this is a mess,
I also
man.
think that I think it is a mess, but it's also the most interesting thing about this series because I think that after the Durant trade, there was this sort of excitement about, oh hey, Mikal Bridges might be that guy, or Spencer Dinwiddie, like all these things. It's starting to make sense. They could be a really fun upstart team. And I think the reality is that, they're a good team, not a very good team. And right now in the playoffs, it's about very good teams. And so this series lost its allure. And, there were some people who thought this could be a longer series. And it's clearly not, not going to be that.
I mean, I didn't think it was going to be a long series. I definitely was enamored with the Nets only have cool, good players now. No superstar, but just a bunch of really great, good players. But again, my thing was this is like a 48 to 50 win regular season team that can't win a playoff series because you don't have that closer. You don't have that super elite guy. You said the most interesting thing about this series, I think it might be just thinking about Kyle Kuzma rooting against Spencer Dinwiddie, because Dinwiddie was rough, horrible clutch time moments for Spencer Dinwiddie.
The most random, hilarious, and really pointed beef we've had in some time.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Good content. Good
content. So yeah, Dinwiddie is not the guy you can have just like being your go get a bucket at the end of the game. Also, the Sixers they're a good team. I still don't think they I don't think they're at the Bucks or we'll call it the healthy Bucks or the Celtics level. But the Sixers, they're way better than the Nets. I thought this would be like a 5-game series win for the Sixers. This felt like the gentleman's sweep that got away with losing this first game 3 at home.
Yes.
Now the question.
I thought Embiid though. This is the thing that happens with Embiid every year, where when it comes to the playoffs, it for some reason either a series goes longer than it should, or something physically, where he just looks like something might not be right.
Yeah.
And at some point in the playoffs, it usually turns for him. Now, I'm not saying that it's happened. We're only a few games into the first round here, but he was bad, and he was and that play, actually the more interesting thing about that play is, why are you in this situation doing something so reckless and stupid that you're putting yourself in a position to either be ejected or suspended? Your team needs you. You're quote unquote the MVP this year, right? Like, you need to.
Oh, I loved how much just disdain you had with that quote unquote.
Yeah, dude. It was just this year's been exhausting.
had 5 turnovers, 14 points. 14 points, 10 rebounds, 5 turnovers, 5 fouls, and like you said,
just go out there and rip their throats up, man.
This was not. You're not going against Marc Gasol, who has your number. This is just like you're going against Nick Claxton, who's much smaller. You're going against
just go out and rip their throat. Go for a short
team
series.
You're much better than.
Get ready for Boston.
And he has a history of having some bad playoff games. I mean, honestly, the real question is, now they're up 3-0. The Sixers were up 3-0 last year on the Raptors, and then gave up 2 games to the Raptors. Doc Rivers, we make our jokes. I mean, I think Doc Rivers has been incredible this year, and maybe he's turned a corner. Doc Rivers has only won 7 of his last 23 opportunities to close out a playoff series. So, like, if they lose this game 4, it's like, well, that's just what he does. I think an interesting question is, like, maybe we're all tired of talking about Draymond, but like, it's applicable. It applies. If Draymond did what Joel Embiid did, Draymond's getting
immediately tossed. They might not even review it. They say,
and he's also getting suspended the next game. And like,
guaranteed.
I do think people are being maybe a little, I don't know what the right word is. To say you shouldn't weigh in, because some people are saying like you shouldn't weigh in a player's history. Like, it should just be the action. Like, I understand how in real world situations with like actual criminal sentencing and whatever, our criminal justice system, it can get ugly that way, where like that's how the state unfairly and unjustly jails people and adds excessive sentences. We got a whole issue with criminal justice system reform. If we're talking about Joe Dumars in the league office, it's not that serious. But like, I do think you can't be like Pollyanna and be like, I was not prepared in any history. Like, you have to.
I was not prepared.
Yeah.
I was not prepared to have a 3. I was not prepared to have a 3 strikes law.
That's right.
Discussion, but I think I'll disagree with you though. I think that there is a way to penalize people for past behavior and accumulated bad behavior, which is what we saw in 2016. Their accumulated flagrant foul points or whatever, however they did that. I think that's a sufficient way to do that. Also, Draymond did get punished. He was ejected from a game that was very close and very critical for his team. So they got penalized on that front already. So that's my Draymond take. My
Draymond take, which I don't think I've said on air, is all playoff suspensions are lame. Like, they're poor. They're not good for the sport. Like, if you punch someone, okay then. But like, if you step on the court when you're not supposed to, come on now. If you commit a dirty play,
make it like 5 games in the regular season or something.
Yeah, like I'll even call it like what Draymond did, I think is a bit inexcusable. But he got ejected. Yeah. And like, you can't step on a guy. But I still think ejecting people, it's not good, and especially for things that aren't like excessive. This word again, this arbitrary word, excessive. To me, that's not excessive. Excessive is running on the court and fighting somebody. Like, that's excessive. But that being said, they threw out my Zebo for a game 7 for a very light shove. A shove that wasn't even called anything.
That was terrible.
It was terrible back then, but that happened to me, so everybody else can suffer. So what? Also, they threw out all those Suns. One of my favorite Suns team of all time. You know, like they was Robert Horry body checked Steve Nash into the scores table. You had a bloodied Steve Nash, and then people came on the court, and then you're suspending all these people. Bad. It's all terrible. But I also don't understand how you've set this precedent of ejecting people for playoff games.
Yes.
And then Embiid kicks someone in the groin on purpose.
I know.
A more overt, intentional act than what Draymond did. And it's like, oh, he's not ejected because he missed. And now he's not gonna be, I don't know. It's a mess. Let's talk about this Kings Warriors series. You gotta say, so Draymond wasn't there. It felt like an opportunity, a huge opportunity for the Kings to get a win. I didn't expect him to win, but still, without Draymond, like it felt like the chance, but no. Steph Curry said, "This is my house." They blasted the Kings. Do you think the Kings are still going to hang on? Did they miss their opportunity to dispatch the champs?
Yeah, this is. I mean, all year, despite how bad the Warriors have looked, like so often, how bad they've been on the road, how many just truly bad losses, even while healthy, that they've had. I've been consistent that with a team of their pedigree and their history, until I see them lose, I'm gonna pick them to win. Like right now, if you said gun to your head, who do you think is gonna win the West? I'm a Laker fan. I see what the Nuggets are doing. I see what whatever other team, either Clippers or Suns or whatever. I'm still picking the Warriors. Like that's how. Yeah, I'm not even considering that. We'll get to that series, but no. But I still am of the mindset of I'm not picking anybody else in the West. And the opportunity that the Kings had is an opportunity that basically no team in the Steph Curry era had.
Yeah,
and that is to put them in basically put them out.
Yeah.
And them not being able to do it is just, I honestly, like, my current prediction is that it's Warriors in 6. Like, I don't think they lose again this series. And I also think, I mean, this series very easily could be 2-1 Warriors right now. If we look at that Wiggins shot and Steph almost tied it.
Yeah.
And so I just look at it from that point of view of this right here specifically, when the series kind of tilted where it's 2-1, this is where the championship pedigree and experience is going to really show itself. And I think games 4, 5, and 6 will reflect that. That's just the way I see it. And I think we've seen time after time after time, if you're an underdog and the Kings, despite their record and all that, against a team like the Warriors, you're the underdog. If you miss even one opportunity in the playoffs, it almost always is fatal.
It hurts. So I'm thinking back to, this is not a similar situation, but the emotion that it reminds me of is back when the Grizzlies were the 8 seed facing the Spurs, and the Grizzlies won game 1, and it was like, whoa, can we do this? And it felt the whole time like we were going to lose. To me as a fan, I was wrong. The Grizzlies were confident in this matchup. They actually specifically wanted this matchup. They manipulated their seeding at the end of the regular season to face the Spurs. They beat them, but there was a Gary Neal like buzzer beater where I'm like, we lost our opportunity. The Spurs won this game. Now we're going to collapse. We're going to lose, but we didn't. So part of me wonders, because the Kings have been better all year, because the Warriors have been garbage all year. Even though I agree with you, I still keep picking the Warriors. Although I picked the Nuggets to win the West before the playoffs started, and after seeing the Suns and the Warriors, I'm feeling better about that. I'm like, there's no one's good. It seems like nobody's really good. But when you see Steph have 36, when you see a playoff legend Kevon Looney unleashed, Kevon Looney had 20.
Moses Malone.
He had 20 rebounds against the Kings. That's the second most rebounds he's had in a playoff game, behind the 22 he had against the Grizzlies in Game 6 last year.
By the way, can I interject?
Yeah, please.
I just, this is me, Laker Homer just injecting his BS.
Yeah.
That Spurs Grizzlies series doesn't come up a lot when we talk Tim Duncan versus Kobe. Just dropping that there.
People omit a lot of. There's random things people just omit. It's like Kobe lost how many elimination games by 30 plus? No one talks about it. We have
we don't need to talk about it all.
Right. And Duncan lost how many times as a higher seed? That's not great. The Warriors got eliminated in a play-in game because of Grayson Allen and Xavier Tillman. Never mentioned. They're like, the Warriors have never been down 0-2 in a series. Well, they also lost in a play, and no one ever talks about it.
Hey, that's and me. Me and you took those Warriors down.
Michael Jordan's shooting percentages were what against the Magic when he came back after baseball? No one ever talks about it. We're in the legend building business. Daman.
I love it.
We don't have to worry about the full context. Yeah, I'm not gonna abandon the Kings because they've been so bad at shooting 3-pointers in this series. They were up 2-0, hadn't made any threes. They go 11 for 47 against the Warriors in game 3. That was their entire thing. Is they're a 3-point shooting team. And maybe like the bright lights of the playoffs, maybe it's all a little too big for them in their first run here. But I do think eventually some of these threes are gonna start going in. And the Warriors have been so consistently inconsistent. They've been so erratic. They've been so up and down this season. I still think I might pick the Kings to win, clearly because we have a 2-1 advantage. I already have 2 wins in the books. But it is one of the great series going on right now. Let's finish talking with our Lakers and Grizzlies. I would mention Suns Clippers, but again, we're talking at like 8 a.m. my time. I haven't watched my recap yet. Honestly, I didn't even know the game was on, man. I was watching Warriors Kings, and they're like on NBA TV. Suns Clippers. I'm like, I forgot that was on tonight. We'll say Norm Powell had 42, and that game was closer than I would have guessed with no Kawhi. All right. How do you feel? Do you feel like the Lakers let one slip away in game 2 facing John Morant? I will say my point of contention, everyone keeps calling this a stunning upset. The Lakers were 1-point favorites until everyone bet on them and pushed it to 1.5-point favorites. That's not a stunning upset. That's just like a run-of-the-mill. Yeah. That's a run-of-the-mill. Oh, it's a close game, toss-up, Yeah,
I think that this series being 1-1 feels appropriate because I feel like both the Grizzlies and Lakers are slightly probably disappointed by that fact that it's 1-1. So that probably means that it's right. There's this interesting thing that happens when a key player or the best player gets hurt or something like that, and there's like this
Jared Jackson Jr. hasn't been hurt
level.
Yet.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Nice. Also, I agree with that. I agree with you. But there's this interesting thing that happens that it's almost galvanizing. It's a short-term effect because ultimately you do need your best players.
Yeah.
But it's galvanizing. And what we've seen with the Grizzlies over, like, I think last couple of years now, when Ja Morant doesn't play, the style of offense that comes out of that when Ja's not playing and we have such a high usage point guard is the Grizzlies don't have bad players, right? They have a lot of very good players.
I got to stop you there. We used to say that. That's not true anymore.
That is true. That is true. Okay.
Our bench is not good, man. I mean, Kennard is solid, but like Aldama and Roddy and Conchar, I think most nights you wouldn't call them good. And you certainly can't depend on them. They played well in game 2, but
I was about to say, yeah, they played well. They played well in game 2. Yeah. So, but I think just coming into that game, I was not of the mindset, like I was not confident. I was hopeful, no question about it.
Sure.
But I was not surprised that they lost. Also, the Lakers, they've had this sort of miraculous turnaround from how badly they were to start.
Yeah.
But even in this stretch where they really had to fight and claw and get back in this, they've had a lot of games like this where when they can finally take a sort of a breath and be like, oh, we're a little relaxed now.
Right.
They are very prone to those letdown type games. Now, that's not taking away from the Grizzlies. And I think the Grizzlies played a very good game. And I thought that the way they, played AD very tough. I thought they didn't let AD get into that groove that he was in game 1. And it really affected his mindset, basically, because he really was shying away from contact, shying away from attacking by the end of that game. And so, I mean, I'm disappointed, but not surprised. And so the Lakers if they're a team that really wants that, a Laker fan like me hopes that they are, you would have liked to have seen them come into game 2 with a killer mindset, but it's going to take a little bit more time for them to get there. And I think game 2 showed that.
So this is something I've noticed watching the series closely that maybe was my own ignorance for not noticing it before. Does Anthony Davis always look this tired? Like, he's been dominant. He has 12 blocks in 2 games. But when I'm watching the games and when I was there in Memphis on Sunday, I was like, he looks like 5 minutes into the game, he looks like Joel Embiid after playing 40 minutes, where it's like, he doesn't look like he wants to run down the court. He's relieved once he gets into the paint and he's like, please drive at me. But like, again, maybe I haven't watched him closely enough all the time. And that's just how his appearance is. Like Brandon Ingram looks sleepy. Maybe just 80s body language is like, I got to run down the court.
Resting tired face. Resting tired face. Yeah. No, but it's look, I think also we're kind of, at least I can speak for myself. I've kind of danced around the fact that from the play-in to these first couple of playoff games, we haven't had a LeBron game yet. Right, and while I could look at that and look at that with optimism and say LeBron is due, LeBron is also at the age and he's also dealing with a foot injury, of which, yes, quote unquote, he's due. Yes, it should be coming, but it's not guaranteed that it'll be there. And so that is something that LeBron has been good, but he has not put his imprint on this series yet. And so I think that LeBron will need to be there. This series, the Lakers are not going to win this series without LeBron having 2 to 3 really good games down the stretch.
Do you think he'll be motivated by Dillon Brooks's post-game comments with Dillon Brooks poking the bear? What do you think Dillon Brooks says to LeBron during the game? I think he says, hey, man, I have a better 3-point percentage than you. Do you think after every shot, Dillon's like, hey, did you know you're like the only guy in the NBA with the worst 3-point percentage than me? If I were Dillon Brooks, that's what I'd be saying.
I got to say, man, like, there's like the Patrick Beverley, Draymond Green, Dillon Brooks, like these guys who I got to admit, I really love. Like
a little Lance Stevenson, maybe.
Little Lance Stevenson.
Yeah.
I love this stuff. But Dillon Brooks, for some reason, bothers me. Bothers me way more than the other guys. I don't know what it is specifically. Maybe Dillon is just better at this than others. So like he actually is like, he's reached the level of annoying where even somebody like me who enjoys that kind of stuff finds it annoying. I don't know what it is, but he got me fired up at that post game, and I was like, wait a minute, why am I getting fired up? Like, let's chill out here. And by the way, LeBron seeking his, trying to get 40 on Dillon Brooks would be a terrible outcome for the Lakers because we need him to play this game.
So Dillon's playing that 3D chess, man.
Exactly.
He's playing that 3D chess. He's like, I need to get. So it's so funny
because Dillon, I know if the Lakers win game 3 and LeBron has 32, he doesn't get to 40. Yeah. Dillon Brooks is going to say something about that in the post game. He's like, well, he didn't get 40 on me.
It's amazing.
It's amazing.
And even like I think they were choosing to have Tillman guard LeBron over Dillon at the fourth quarter of game 2. Yep. No, so like obviously I followed Dillon Brooks his whole career, and he's always said ridiculous things. And this is like the first year that people are like actually reporting them. It's the first year that like Bleacher Report is putting out graphics with like, listen to this one sentence Dillon Brooks said. So a lot of the time, Dillon Brooks, like as a wrestling heel, will come in and he'll say something preposterous and or funny. And part of me thinks he's doing this on purpose to be funny. Clearly, I think he is a little bit off. He doesn't have maybe the self-aware gene, but he normally will say something funny and then he'll say something very complimentary after it, but no one ever cares. Like in this one, he's like, hey, people are saying maybe you shouldn't antagonize or trash talk LeBron James. And then Dillon's like, well, he's old. What do I care? And he's like, I want to poke the bear. And then he says, I want to poke the bear. And then he says, if a guy doesn't drop 40 on me, I'm not going to respect him. All these things are hilarious, objectively in a vacuum, all very, very funny things. But of course, it's Dillon Brooks, who, again, not that good of a player, relative to the greatest player of all time, and but then he follows up. He's like, yeah, he's a legend. I love playing against him. Like, he's one of the best ever. Like, this is exciting for me. I get to play against him.
I don't even want to hear that. Yeah, I
no
don't
one
even
cares about that stuff. But it is funny. But even the stuff he says that's not incendiary is put out as incendiary, where it's like they're like, hey, who are you looking forward to playing coming out of the play-in? And he's just like I would look forward to playing LeBron. There's nothing upsetting about that. There's nothing disrespectful. He's like it would be, I can't remember the exact words was, but it's like, it would be a great opportunity to play, LeBron, as in, like, he's one of the best players of all time. Like, this is, to have to go to the Lakers.
Competitors, of course.
Yeah, he's a competitor. So it's pretty funny. But I mean, like, earlier this year,
how are you? Yeah.
Oh, sorry. How are you this year? Dylan Brooks said he was better than Draymond Green, and then spelled out why he was better than Draymond Green. And, like, NBA Central did not run with it. Bleacher Report did not run with it. That one just disappeared, man. Like, no one even put it. No one even made a there was no clutch points graphic for that one. It just went away. How am I feeling about the series?
Yeah.
I feel the same basically as I did before the series started, with a slight twist. I thought it was going to go 6 or 7. I thought the Grizzlies should be favored in a series that goes 6 or 7. I think because of John Morant not being the John Morant I thought we'd have 100% John Morant. So we don't. So because of that, I still think it's going 6 or 7, but now I think the Lakers are more probably going to win. I think this is weird. I don't think the Grizzlies lose that much in this specific matchup. If it's not Apex Ja, if it's any kind of limited Ja, give me Tyus. Like, our defense is way better with Tyus. The ball moves better with Tyus. Tyus, his main strength is making those floaters, which hopefully you can attack whenever AD goes into drop, where you're not like getting, like, Ja got caught a lot in game 1, like driving in, the defense would collapse, and then he maybe it's because his hand was taped up. He's having trouble hitting the floater. He was turning the ball over a lot in those situations. Like, I would love to have.
Are you saying Ja found himself in a lot of situations he shouldn't have been in?
Yeah. You can maybe.
I had to say something.
Maybe you can plan ahead.
I did drop.
Just plan ahead. Yeah. Just know what your options are when these situations come up. When the big is gonna close it on you. Have somewhere a release valve for the ball to go to. No, I'd still be stunned if the Lakers 1-5. I think the Lakers have too many holes just on their team. I don't trust most of their players. Like, game 2 was like, this is why I doubted the Lakers coming in. D'Angelo Russell is not that guy. And, like, I'm not gonna be worried about Dennis Schroeder.
Yeah.
Now, Rui is more than I ever dreamed. Have you seen this list of players? He's the first player ever. He's the first player ever to make at least half of his field goal attempts and make a 3 in each of his first 7 playoff games. The guy is unbelievable in the playoffs now. So I didn't expect this. I'm a little nervous about that. Like, it's not gonna surprise me if the Grizzlies win game 3 with no John Morant. Like, it's not gonna surprise me at all.
Yeah,
like, I think it's a toss. For me, this is a toss-up series.
I don't know what it is about. Maybe it's these specific teams. I don't think any of these teams cares if they're at home or away. Like, I think that this is going to be completely independent. Unlike, like, the Kings Warriors, what really feels like, they're different teams on their home courts. I really think, like, this being 3-1 or 2-2 in any direction would not surprise me. Like, I really am open, which is what makes a great series. Like, I am going into game 3 with no idea what to expect.
Yeah. I think, like if I were forced to bet on this outcome, I'm taking Lakers in 6. That feels like the most probable, but I have Grizzlies in 7. I think not very far behind that. I do think the one thing that gives me pause is, without Ja, of course, we have to play some really, I think, poor lineups. You called them good players. I'm not going to call them good players, even though they're my guys. Like,
I'm trying to give them credit.
We had to play too many guys. And also, they keep honoring foul trouble. Like, Dylan Brooks hasn't played much in this series, frankly, whether that's good or a bad thing that pundits can debate. Desmond Bane's been bad so far in this series, but also, like, because of those guys both having quote unquote foul trouble, getting taken out with 4 fouls in the third quarter in each game, we've had to run with these. A lot of Aldama, a lot of Roddy, and that scares me, especially on the road. And especially the thing that, like, you think about role players and their shooting, and that's a big variable game to game. I think the one thing that isn't a variable is the Lakers' advantage on the glass. And that worries me big time. One thing I've gotten right so far is like, I thought the Grizzlies were going to struggle to maintain leads. And it's happened both games where there's long stretches where they just look horrible. And that's a carryover from this regular season. So like, it's not going to surprise me again if the Grizzlies are up by 12 at halftime and lose by 12, like if that's a definite outcome in game 3. Like I joke about it, but I'm serious. Like I feel like the Grizzlies are good at getting out to leads, but the one consistent, I think that doesn't normally go away is rebound advantage, regular season or playoffs. And I think because of that, that's what makes me feel like it's more probable the Lakers win this series probably in 6 games or so.
And what I want to see from the Lakers is they get away from this, especially when their jumper is falling, where their advantage in most series against most teams will be bully ball with Anthony Davis and LeBron James. Though that's how you do it. That was the formula in 2020. That was the formula that actually turned this season around when they got players where they could let LeBron and AD be those bullies and, have the other guys circle around them. And I think LeBron, when he went to the post the second half in game 2, that really started to turn things. That's the best he's looked in a few games now. And I hope that they'll look at that and say, okay, we need to really just go all in on this. Force the Grizzlies to either try to contest that, get them in foul trouble, get them tired, whatever it is, limit their transition opportunities, whatever the outcome of that is. I think that is a direction the Lakers have to go. And I suspect they saw enough in that second half that is the direction they will go for the rest of the series. I hope at least.
Yeah, it's good. It's going to be a good one. I don't buy everyone who's being like, all the pundits, all the TNT guys being like the series is over. I can't get over Charles Barkley, who's been gambling for like 30 years. who's like, hey, you realize the home team has won like 95% of all game 2s in history after they lose game 1, and it's a 1-point spread. He's just like, man, the Grizzlies have no chance. How have you lost so much money gambling? Like, I understand like a casual fan be like, oh no, John Morant. All right, well, this game's over. But like, if you've been gambling on it for 30 years, how are you not recognizing these patterns? I don't know. Maybe honestly, Chuck's probably amazing at gambling and just plays it up that he's bad at it. I
don't know, man. We've seen him golf and he golfs a lot.
It's true. So. It's so true. Anyways, buddy, thanks for coming on. Always a pleasure talking basketball. I look forward to seeing you in Los Angeles for some non-content conversation. It'll be just.
I'm excited, man. Well, hey, man, I don't know. We might pull out our iPhones and just start recording.
We might have to do it. I mean, again, if you're going to talk basketball, what's the point of doing it without releasing it?
That is true.
Yeah. Anyways, Daman, thanks so much. And I look forward to the next time.
Worst of luck to you.
And to you, sir.